Welcome to Life and Reality with Lenny T. How have you been? I'm good. So today we are talking about not everybody who hurts you is narcissistic. It is a place where we believe that healing does not begin with answers, but healing begins with awareness. And that is my work, to teach, to coach, and to train and to inform. Here we learn, unlearn, and relearn. So welcome once more, and I'll begin with a Bible verse. I like coupling my teachings with Bible verses, and today's Bible verse is Proverbs 4:6-7, and you'll understand why I chose Proverbs 4:6-7, chapter 4:6-7, and it says, "Do not forsake wisdom, and it shall protect you. Love her, and she will watch over you. Wisdom is supreme. Therefore, get wisdom. Though it costs all you have, get understanding." You already understand why I chose that verse, okay? Because our topic today is not everyone who hurts you is narcissistic. Not everybody who hurts you is narcissistic. My work, it is to reset, to awaken, to change the narrative, and to get things back in order. Now, on social media, I've noticed there is a lot of misconception about narcissism. Do not misunderstand me. Narcissism is real. We are people who have narcissistic personality disorders. But not everybody who hurt you is narcissistic. Because I've realized that most of the time nowadays when somebody is hurt by somebody, you end up saying that they are narcissistic. Now, I'm here to tell you that there are some characteristics or features that mimic narcissism. And these are features, or let me call them habits, because they are repeated patterns of behaviors. Let me call them habits. And I will use the one temporal habits, and I'll tell you why I'm saying temporal or temporary, from the one temporal habits. These habits, they mimic narcissism, and a person may portray certain features or characteristics that you may think they're narcissistic. Okay. But I want you today, during my discussion, for you to understand the difference between narcissism and temporal habits. Let me call them habits for now. And like I said, I'll explain later why I'm saying temporal habits. Because some are just, we can call them the weaknesses or flaws. Okay? Why do we have these flaws? Some of these flaws were formed during our growing up, during experiences in life, the traumas that you go through during your childhood, and they formed part of who you are. Okay? And the experiences that you have received throughout your life until now, it has formed who you became. And unfortunately, some of them are negative or unpleasant. Okay? And sometimes you don't do it out of malice. People don't do it out of malice of hatred, but they may come off as self-defense or self-protection. Okay, or not aware. They are not aware that what they are doing is wrong, and sometimes it comes off subconsciously. Okay, and I'm going to list some of these features or characteristics that may mimic narcissism, and you may find a person may have 1, 2, or 3 of these characteristics in their personality, and sometimes they may be visible or noticeable. Okay, and people may think you're just being narcissistic, but they're just mimicking that, and it is just that one flaws or that one weakness that you have, but it is very noticeable. Okay, so let's begin. And the first one is because of the, like I said, childhoods or traumas. These people are injured, okay, and they did not know how to process their pain. But I want you to understand that these people have empathy, okay? They're not entirely bad. Only these particular characteristics that come off, especially when they are triggered, okay? These childhood traumas, how do they process? They process their pain. How do they respond to their pain, especially when they are triggered? They were not taught how to, and they did not get help how to do it, okay? So their childhood traumas or their childhood pain can make somebody look like narcissistic, because when they are triggered, they may react in an unpleasant way, right? Now, there is poor communication. There are people who are blunt with words or mean with words. Maybe where they grew up, that is what they saw or what they were taught. There are people who don't know how to communicate. Apart from being blunt with words and mean with words, they just may go quiet on you. Especially maybe an argument arises, they can go quiet on you and you feel disrespected, and some others will just walk away, okay, and they will leave someone with questions and you can feel hurt. And this, particularly this poor communication, it can come off as narcissism. Let's hold on, you come to understand why I'm saying that, because it mimics narcissism, okay, because of the silence. Especially if somebody goes silent on you, you can feel like they're being narcissistic, because that is one of the weapons narcissists use, okay. The other people are just straightforward. I'm one of them. I usually say I'm painfully honest, okay, and I may come off like intimidating, but I'm not intimidating. I'm just straightforward, okay, which I'm learning to be a bit soft, because I was like, that person who doesn't do gray. It's either black or white. But like I said, these are life, you have to learn and learn and relearn. So I'm learning to be soft a little bit, okay, to compromise, to do gray a little bit sometimes when it's necessary. So I'm saying communication, poor communication skills, or difficulty in communicating, okay, and this person may come off as narcissistic. Then there is emotional unavailable. There are people who detach when you get close to them, not because they want to detach, but they learned that as a coping mechanism, okay, and they were not taught. Maybe during their childhood they were never shown emotional closeness, so they learned that unconsciously. You just pick, because a child is learns through observation and listening, okay, observation and listening, social conditioning, okay. So maybe this person, in the environment where they were raised, they were never taught how to have emotional closeness. So you don't expect this person, if they did not work on themselves, to give you that emotional closeness. So they're emotionally unavailable, okay, when it comes to relationships or to people around them, okay. And this comes off as narcissistic, because narcissistic people, they have no time for emotional closeness, okay. So the other one is fear of intimacy or closeness. When I mean intimacy, I don't mean physical intimacy or sex, no. I mean more of that emotional closeness, but this one is on a soul level, okay. Fear of intimacy. Those people, once you get too close to them to know them, they pull off, they push you away, or they withdraw completely, because they put you on an arm's strength for defense mechanism. Like I told you, most of them is because of defense mechanism or protection. Okay, and this one may come off as, again, as narcissism. Okay, and people can present these characteristics, maybe one or two or three of them, and they're very noticeable, like I said. Okay, and this can leave the other partner feeling offended or hurt. Okay, then there is immaturity. And maturity does not mean age. Age is not maturity. Okay, maturity is emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence, how you process, how respond situation, how responsible you are emotionally, are you stable. Okay, that is what you're talking about, maturity. Maturity is not age. We have people who are even 70 years, they are very immature. Okay, so maturity is not age, it is emotional maturity, emotional intelligence. Okay, people react through impulse. Okay, they blame others, being defensive instead of owning up responsibility of their actions. They struggle with accountability, and they come off like a little bit of sport too. Okay, very immature. Okay, and this one too, you can see some of these traits in narcissism. Okay, then we have people who hurt you because they are overwhelmed. Like nowadays, we see people are very, very overwhelmed. They're stressed out, chronic stress, depression, anxieties because of what is happening in the world, maybe what is happening at work. People are just overwhelmed, okay? And they may end up shouting at you. They may end up shutting you down. Becoming inconsistent with the relationship. Sometimes they're just overwhelmed. They just want to be alone. And this one can make you feel hurt because you feel neglected, and maybe someone has become rude all of a sudden. It's because they are overwhelmed. Okay, they are not narcissistic, they are overwhelmed. They're going through stuff, maybe they are overly stressed, they're going through stuffs, and you may think they are narcissistic. Okay, the other one is insecurity. If people there are people compare themselves with others. Okay, and they may come off as narcissistic because of the insecurity. Because they're narcissistic, even if their ego shows that they're very confident, narcissistic people have very weak self-esteem, their insecurities. Okay, so insecurity, someone may have insecurity, they are jealousy, they are clinging, they're suspicious, they are afraid, they fear, and they are threatened by growth. When others are growing, they are threatened by that. So they may try to sabotage you or become clingy, or they are jealous of what you're doing. Okay, but they are not narcissistic. In a way, they are just insecure to be left behind when you're progressing. Okay, but they are not narcissistic. Okay, because of their insecurities. Now, the other one is they don't value the relationship. When I mean they don't value the relationship, that was the best word I could come up with. You may get in a relationship and you find the other partner is not ready to settle down. Unfortunately, maybe you guys did not communicate well and understand at what level is your relationship. For you think, especially the ladies, they may rush, and for them they've already seen the future with this person. But men tend to go slow in relationships. So for ladies, that's mostly, this is for ladies, where they may feel that the guy is not being serious, is not they don't have a value in their relationship, because they want to go slow. For the lady, she's ready to settle. For the guy, is not ready to settle. Okay, both your priorities are differing. Okay, they differ, both priorities differ. Maybe one wants to pursue their career first, the other one wants to settle down and have a family. Okay, and you may feel offended You may feel like this person is using you. You've been in this relationship for some time and it's not going anywhere. And they come off as narcissistic, okay? People hurt you out for self-protection. Like I said, self-protection. And there's this thing we are talking about, independence, okay? Maybe you've been hurt before. And you did not heal, so you have trust issues. So out of self-protection or self-defense, you always assume the worst. When somebody comes, you always want to see, is this person going to hurt me like I was hurt before? You can withdraw or choose to be silent or choose the survival mode, which people are doing, and they're calling it independence. Survival mode. So you will not invest entirely on this relationship because you're waiting to be hurt again. You have not healed. You're doing it out of self-defense because you are hurt before, and someone may think you're being narcissistic because of choosing withdraw or going silent on them, okay? And then people hurt you because they don't know better. They have never been taught before. They grew up in chaos. They know chaos. That is how to solve issues. They don't know better. They saw disrespect and they copied that. Unknowingly, they copied that. Because it was conditioned in their system unknowingly, unconsciously. It was conditioned in their system because that is what they were taught, chaos. They have never experienced love at all. For them, the only way to solve issues was either chaos, fights, and all that. Okay, but if this person is subjected to an environment where they can grow and learn and heal, they become better. They're not narcissistic. Okay, you have seen even people who are very violent, but they're not narcissistic. They just don't know better. That is what they were taught. That is how they learned. But when they're subjected to a healthy environment and they learn, they change and become good people. Now, the other two things can lead you to hurt someone. If you have mental health disorders like bipolar, they're just examples like bipolar, schizophrenic, especially if they are on relapse, okay, maniac period. These people can be a little bit of violence or rude or loud, too loud. And if you're not aware that this person has these conditions, you may think they're just being narcissistic, because sometimes they can pick on you for no reason. For no reason. They're just going through their maniac stage, their relapse, okay? For no reason, okay? Then substance abuse. But for substance abuse, there's no excuse, because this is something that you can work on. When someone is intoxicated, they can hurt someone, okay? Words or their actions through substance abuse, okay? But what I'm trying to say is that these people, they may have these features or characteristics, but they are not narcissistic because they have empathy in them. They are not always bad. It's when they are triggered, that's when these things crop up, right? And we end up labeling them narcissistic, which is not right. But now that you have learned, like I said, we are here to learn. Healing begins with awareness, not answers. Like we are looking for answers. If you look for answers without awareness, then I don't know what will be solving, because how can you solve something that you're not aware of? So let's first of all look for awareness, get informed. So because when you're informed, you're able, that's what I was saying, I read the Bible verse, have wisdom. Because with wisdom, you know how to react to situations. You know how to strategize. You know how to plan. You know how to respond and to react. Because when you're informed, you know what you're dealing with. You know how to deal with it. You know how to respond to it. You know how to go about it. Okay? You don't just label somebody narcissistic. Right? So let's look at features of narcissism, or somebody who has narcissistic personality disorder. Okay, first, what is a narcissism? What is narcissism? It is a pattern of thinking, feeling, and behavior in which a person is over excessive, is with self focus, and they have no empathy. They struggle with empathy. As in my own words, I would say narcissism is malfunction of personality, because it is our personality that help us interact, live with people around us, how we think, how we feel. Because when you have a healthy personality, you're able to reason and to think logically and to know what is right and what is wrong. You don't hurt people out of intention. Okay, but for narcissism, it is a malfunction of personality. The personality has malfunctioned, just like I would say, like a government would be fighting its own people. Okay, a government where the government fights its own citizens, a malfunction of the system. Okay, a malfunction of immune system. We have seen the autoimmune disorders, the immunity malfunctions and fights the victim or the person. Okay, instead of helping it to defend the body away from diseases, it fights the person. That is why we have autoimmune disorders. So narcissism is more like that, a malfunction of personality, because in psychology it's about behavior. So it malfunctions and targets your behavior, because living around these people, it's exhausting. You're always under stress because of their characteristics or their behavior, because their personality has malfunctioned. They are aware, but they don't know how to handle it. Okay, because one malfunction of narcissism is they believe they're smart, they believe they're okay, they have no problem. That's why it is very hard to diagnose a narcissistic person, because already they believe they have no problem, they're perfect. Okay, they're perfect, they have no problem. It is you who has a problem. So even if they hurt you, they believe it is you who made them hurt you. They're always the victim. So for this person even to seek help, it's very hard. Okay, so take it as a malfunction of personality. That's the best way I can describe, the simplest way I can say. But it is a pattern of thinking, feeling, and behavior in which a person has excessive self-focus and they have no empathy. They have no empathy. Okay, hold on to that. These people have no empathy. These are the characteristics. Someone may have one or two or three of these weaknesses, but they have empathy. And it always comes up or crops up when they're triggered. For narcissistic, it is always there. Whether you're good to them or not, it is always there. And one of these features of narcissism is grandiosity. Grandiosity is where they believe they're smarter than everybody else. They're very dominating and controlling and bragging. Grandiosity, okay? They believe they're better than anybody else in this world. In the group where they are, they always believe that they're smart and better, okay? Then there is need for admiration. They crave validation and praise. Always when you're with them, they want you to praise them all the time, to validate them. And if you don't, you become enemies with this person. Okay, they always want to be praised, they always want attention, they always want validation, excessive of it, because that is where they draw their confidence from. Because like I said, they have a very sensitive or fragile self-esteem. They come off as very confident, but trust me, their ego is very weak. That's why they always want to be validated. That is why they always want to use other people to get that confidence, to be able to move on with their life, day life. Okay, so then they lack empathy. Like I said, they lack empathy. They struggle with that. They truly don't even understand what empathy is. Like you care and love people, closeness. You want to do do things for other people. For them, they crave that. They crave for you to have empathy towards them. They crave that, but they don't reciprocate because they don't know how. Like I said, there is a malfunction of personality. So if it has malfunctions, like saying a malfunction of the immune system, so that immune system will not protect you from your illness, but rather fight you. Like you have seen people who have immune disorders, it fights you. So like them, they crave empathy, they crave closeness, they crave love, a lot of love. They crave that, but they don't give that back. They don't, because they don't know how. Okay, there's then manipulative tendencies, is because they use people to meet their own needs, often without remorse. Like I said, if somebody has no empathy, they have no remorse at all. They have no remorse at all. So they manipulate people to get their own needs. Yeah? To get their own needs. Like I said, they want to be loved. So they manipulate you to give you that love. That's why we talk about love bombing. They love bomb you so that they can put you in a trap. Okay, and you're here pouring unto them all the time. You're pouring unto them all the time. You're pouring unto them, and they're just manipulating you. Okay, so then we have the entitlement. They feel entitled. They expect special treatment. Like I said, like the one we talked about, admiration. They expect special treatment. Mheshimiwa, boss, sir. You honor them all the time. They should be seen and treat them with a lot of respect. But they don't do the same. They don't do the same. Because why? They don't want anybody else to be recognized apart from them. Especially when they're in a group. Nobody else should be recognized but them. They feel entitled. Even if they have nothing to offer, for them, they believe they're special just the way they are. So you should recognize them, okay? Then the difficulty with accountability. They rarely apologize. And if a narcissistic apologizes, my friend, run. Because if a narcissistic starts being so sweet, there's something they need from you. That's why we're talking about fumbling. There's something they need from you. They want, if they apologize, there's something they need from you. And once they get it, they mess you up again, okay? Then they'll blame other people for hurting you. They'll blame you for hurting you. It is because of you I hurt you. I believe you've heard that statement. I hurt you because you forced me to. Don't do that again. You're the one who is hurt, but he is telling you not to do that again. I slapped you because you made me slap you. How do I make you slap me? There are other ways of handling situations, but a narcissistic person will even insult you or put you down or devalue you and tell you it is your fault that they're doing it, that you should even apologize for it, okay? They have no accountability for anything. They have no remorse. They have no empathy. Are you getting the difference? Now, there's a difference. Someone may have weaknesses. That's why I was saying it is temporal weaknesses, because these are weaknesses that someone can work on and they become better people because they have empathy. They understand. They feel. Unlike a narcissistic person don't understand and they don't feel. For these other people, they understand and they feel. Only they are not aware when they are doing it. Or maybe it's because of their traumas. Maybe it's because of self-defense. They don't know better. They're immature. But when they're exposed to a healthy environment, then these people, they can become better. Okay? So are we getting somewhere? Like I said, we are here to learn and run and relearn. As always, if I've spoken to you and you understand, like, share, and comment and follow for more. Thank you, and thank you for listening.